of the parts of
You
it.
deny parts of it don't seem realistic to you. You
Right.
think they were embellished upon.
I think they're embellished, yeah.
The same way. This sounds... Oh, gosh.
Oh, boy.
They're going to be in
get
trouble.
yourself
This sounds similar to the slavery stuff, too.
This sounds similar to the slavery stuff, too.
Because that's literally... the founder of... Or the guy who made Roots said, I wanted a myth for my people to live by. So they often... But that's what they do, is they embellish...
But that's what they do, is they embellish...
And I'm not trying to say it wasn't horrible. It was.
Right.
But they want to make it, like, more horrible.
But they want to make it, like, more horrible.
So that they can control people.
They can control people.
And you kill people as a black guy. And an Asian.
Yeah, true.
Pause right. This nigga right here is funny. He's funny, this nigga.
I don't condone this N-word.
Oh.
Shut up, you Albanian fat. Keep running the clip, you chink. No, keep running the clip. Who's that weird nigga that can't speak? Who's that? He black as hell. Bate man. Yeah, let's keep going.
I fucking preach. I went windows for fun.
Holy shit, who's this gay nigga here with the red? What the fuck is going on? What entire nation fucking pussy shit is that? I know that preach nigga.
Mad respect to minorities. What the fuck? Stop!
What?
I want to get it.
We've made too many compromises already. Too many retreats. They invade our space, and we fall back. They assimilate entire worlds, and we fall back. Not again. The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther. And I will make them pay for what they've done.
We've been too xenophilic and allowed too many people in our ranks as Ados men. In seeking love and respect from others and not from within, we've allowed too many people to destroy our image. The enemy attacks us physically, psychologically, emotionally, sexually, and economically. We've been trained to tolerate disrespect. Worse yet, we've been trained not to trust each other. In a wartime situation, if the grunts can't trust one another, they can't survive, let alone win. Sadly, it's only recently that we've begun to unravel the web that the system has spun around us. And the damage it's done to our community has been significant, to say the least. The Black community is a carcass that has been rotting for some time. But how can we revive it? Can it be revived? For years, I believe we are too far gone. But recently, I've begun to reconsider. This in no small part due to my interactions with my co-host Alfred and Gerald at Simple Shit TV. Shout out to you guys. But I've also been reminded of a book that may be a microcosm of our situation. The book in question, Still My Soldiers' Hearts, by Colonel David Hackworth, recounts the true story of how the colonel worked with the 4th Battalion, 39th Infantry, at the time considered the worst unit in the Vietnam War. A unit so undisciplined and the morale so low that their rifles were red with rust. Despite this, with Hackworth's help, these men were reborn as hardcore Wakandos and became among the most respected units in Nam. I hope to use this novel as a framework for our situation, as I see many parallels between the situations of FBA men and the 439th. Let's begin. We black men are descendants of POWs from manufactured wars and were forced into servitude in an enemy land. When we were grudgingly given our freedom officially, this system has seemingly done everything it could to attempt our genocide or come as close to reinstitutionalizing slavery as possible. Essentially, being born in America as a black man drafts us into a mostly quiet race war. Even worse, most of us aren't even aware that we are at war. Those that should inform and prepare us do not. At best, they're struggling to understand our situation themselves. At worst, they're deliberately setting us up to be fed to the enemy. More on this later. On January 30th, 1969, Colonel David Hackworth was dropped off at Fire Support Base Dizzy, the 439th area of operation. Hackworth was enraged by the sight of the base. Quote, the whole place smelled of raw shit and rotting morale. Toilet paper blew across the chopper pad. Machine gun ammo was buried in mud. And troops wandered around like zombies, their weapons gone red with rust. End quote. The colonel worked closely with Sergeant Major Robert Press, a trusted war buddy. The acting CO, Colonel Lark, had the battalion operations sergeant keep track of casualties up to this point. The 439th suffered nearly 40% casualties without ever meeting a significant enemy force in open combat. How did this happen? Hackworth and Press got their answer the very first night on the base. Quote, every now and then there would be an enormous bam. Then someone would scream, medic! Just before sunup, Press came back. You're not gonna believe this, son. Colonel Lark had set Dizzy dead center in a Viet Cong minefield, end quote. Brothers, we were born in enemy territory and attacked before birth. From Freedman's Bank to Jim Crow to the crack epidemic to the 89 drug bill and the 94 crime bill, those of us that weren't deleted from the moon found a plethora of invisible snares put in place to attempt to destroy us and our quality of life.
So with that said, what I've noticed is that 9 times out of 10, the people who run around saying we just holding them accountable, those are the people who don't want to be held accountable. Those are the people who get pissed off and offended when you hold them accountable. You know, the same man who said, well, we just holding these women accountable. We just holding these hoes accountable. Well, you hold him accountable. You turn the mirror on his raggedy ass and say, well, look at the choices you're making. Look at what you're doing to these women. Look at what you did to.
Right. So I think that this is very poetic justice. I think that it is very fitting that Dr. Watkins is in this situation. I had some of you stupid people come over to my platform on Instagram and even here, and y'all was saying shit like, Michi falls out with everybody. Dr. Watkins, Vicky Dillard, she's the problem. Some of y'all sound so stupid. Like, who doesn't know that you don't know by now that Dr. Watkins has been running around here stealing from black women their ideas. He stole my domain and all of these things that he does. He owes plenty of women money and he wouldn't pay them. These are all black women.
Quote, there are no bad troops, just bad officers. An axiom as old as the profession of arms. Through tightly clenched jaws, Press gave me a set rep of his all-night recon. There was no one to blame for the rotten condition of this battalion but Colonel Lark, end quote. Many so-called black leaders have failed to truly lead the black community. From the Congressional Black Caucus to the NAACP, the countless clergy have time and again proven to be poverty pimps preying on the community's weakness and ignorance in order to line their pockets with gold. Nearly half of the Black community has reached the middle class or higher as of 2021, but these types will always speak death into the Black community, saying Black men aren't doing enough. No matter how much progress we've made, we always seem to have to work harder. If the antebellum slavery system still exists, these are undoubtedly their overseers.
Until November, we got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't Black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. I would love to see.
Take a look at my record, man.
And I'm going to now direct this at Vice President Biden. I do not believe you are a racist. And I agree with you when you commit yourself to the importance of finding common ground. But I also believe, and it's personal, and I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And, you know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
Quote, but even worse, there was no way to tell the good guys from the bad guys. Almost everybody hated the Army of the Republic of Vietnam, or ARVN, pronounced ARVN. In particular, the hardcore soldiers hated the ARVN soldiers who operated in our AL, area of operations. Day to day, the ARVN guys would go out and seldom find the Viet Cong. Yet if we followed their tracks, we had to fight every step of the way. There was a time a VC mine blew up a civilian bus, and an ARVN soldier, instead of helping the hardcore medics patch up the wounded, stole the bandages, end quote. For some reason, at least in recent years, Black Americans believe we need other groups to fight our fight for us, almost as if we expect them to care more about our situation than we do. A good example of this is the blind loyalty many of us have to the Democratic Party. A party that was built by the Confederacy, that claims time and again to care about our plight, but at best is offered little more than lip service, and at worst put laws in place to further hinder us. To add to this, we struggle to trust one another. Here's an analogy. If race relations in this country were an out-and-out war, it would be nothing short of a miracle if the Black Army would even get in formation. This would not be from a lack of intelligence, but rather a wealth of intelligence. Free-thinking Black men that have seen too much and know too much would be terrified to get information for fear of being shot in the back. The soldier behind him could be jealous of his position in the formation. He could covet the man's wife or girlfriend. He could strive to carry out some revenge for a perceived slight on behalf of himself or his family. The opposing armies could have paid him off to sabotage us. Hell, his mind might be so broken he would do anything to get a pat on the head from a white man. This distrust is by design, and sadly, we may have realized it too late.
Racism is a bitch. I mean, white people, you gotta know. It fucks you up, but what it does to Black people is a bitch. Because no matter what it's hard enough being a human being. It's really fucking hard enough just to be that. Right? Just to go through everyday life without murdering a motherfucker. It's hard enough just to walk through life decent as a person. But here's another element added to it when you're black. Your mother's got that little edge on us. Is enough to make you crazy.
White is a fluent concept. It's an idea. White to us, and I've said this a few times, but here's what white is to us. The decency that nature has given the Jews in their plight, the decency is to have a villain in both plights. Moses, there was Pharaoh. That nigga looked like Yul Brynner. Yul Brynner was the evil force holding you down.
Yeah.
And God freed you. God said, no, Jews, you must go.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank God.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Then it's the Holocaust. Hitler.
He was a bad one.
Hitler and his crew were after the war, it was against the law. You can't even have the mustache no more.
Yeah.
You can't even rock that.
Yeah.
You rock that.
That's not a law, but it's an understanding.
You just don't rock it.
Sure.
That nigga is the devil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
That mustache is the devil.
Right.
Hitler, then the devil.
Right.
So what that enables you to do is move on. Enables you to move on.
Okay.
Meaning, I don't have to hate every German. I don't have to be bogged down. After the Holocaust, being a fucking Nazi was criminal. To this day, if they find out you used to be a Nazi, you get fucked over. You can't even apologize.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I only put a couple in ovens. No. You're done.
That's right.
Okay?
Even if you're 100 years old, you're going to jail.
You're fucked.
Yeah.
Which is great for the spirit of being Jewish. It's great. It's just like, we went through this. Yeah, we went through this. But we know exactly what happened.
Yeah.
We know exactly how many people it happened to, and we know exactly who the fuck did it.
Yeah.
So it enables you to have a chapter in a book.
Yeah.
When I start off with white people, I'd say, look, white is the only thing we got from slavery. We don't have we have a finish date. Questionable start date, questionable amount of people that died, questionable effect on our minds. When we were freed, it was like, bye, nigga. Nice talking to you.
Yeah.
Okay. You've been living this way 400 years. Now we expect you to live wonderfully now. And what we did to you is not criminal. And the only thing left is your skin. So you have the skin color of the enemy. So every white person is Hitler's mustache, really. To my gut, every all white skin is that.
On some level.
On some level.
Really?
Yeah.
Quote, the very words booby trap bring back the smell of blood whenever I hear them, recalls Jim Robertson. The damn things were so numerous, so varied, and Charlie was so good at making and concealing them, that the feeling was that if you stayed in the field long enough, you were going to fall victim to a booby trap. It was just a matter of time. In a firefight, the grunts knew they had a chance to fight back. If you got ambushed and you didn't get hit in the first burst, you could get your licks in. But with a booby trap, Robertson remembers, it was bang, game over. Somebody was down and we'd get mad, but there was nobody to fight. And that was the worst, the frustration and the helplessness, end quote. The willful miseducation of our history has kept many of us in the dark as to the nature of our situation. Most of us have grown up knowing in our gut that something was and is terribly wrong with our situation in this country. But most of us have grown up at the mercy of the system without fully understanding the full spectrum of its treachery. And the more brilliant minds among us are still unraveling the full depth of it. Most of us have known for decades that something has been actively working against us, the elusive they. And we've never been able to place a specific face to our enemies. As it would for anyone, this has caused a degree of learned helplessness and in some self-hatred. This is yet another reason why we struggle to get along. Many of us are deeply frustrated, and in lieu of a true arch enemy, we take it out on each other. We have many so-called leaders in our community that have proven to be little more than con artists, and most that were truly committed to the cause and met a bad end. Between the assassinations, lies from all sides, and the constant plea to keep hope, though little has changed, has proven vexing. Our community's morale has been drained over the decades. The built-up cynicism has caused most of the community to adopt an every man for themselves mindset, allowing us to be comfortable stealing from one another, selling drugs to one another, and deleting one another. When considering Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we've been perpetually struggling to achieve safety. The bulk of us are in survival mode, and thus more willing to betray each other to the arch enemy to get ahead. Gentlemen, this is our situation. At least the best overview I can surmise. Rebuilding the esprit de corps of the 439th, much like the Black community, was believed to be futile. But Colonel David Hackworth was able to find true warriors in these hopeless and bitter draftees. In my next video, I will examine Hackworth's process and hopefully glean useful information to apply to us. Until next time, gents.
You got niggas with degrees enabling these motherfuckers by perpetuating these lies and negativity about black men. Most of you black men don't have kids. You ain't even got no wife. 31% of y'all are married. 51% of you don't have kids, and you're not married. That's 82% of black men who ain't did shit or are doing it the right way. It's 18% of men out there with children outside of wedlock. And of that group, they are better fathers than men of other races who are married to their women. Right. You black men are outstanding. You hear me? You are winning. Fuck what these PhD ass niggas are saying. You are winning. You are doing a great fucking job, especially considering what you had to do and deal with historically. Especially that. Nobody's saying that. These lying motherfuckers, man.